Hello and welcome back to Warcraft Daily for today, the 17th of June 2014. It's been a while since I've said that. In fact, I've never said it because, it's not been the 17th of June 2014 yet. But, yeah, Warcraft Daily is coming back for one episode. I've not actually, cancelled or put this show on hiatus or anything. It's just that the World of Warcraft news cycle's been really weird. It's been all alpha stuff and new expansions and all that, which doesn't really fit with Warcraft Daily, but Blizzard actually, made a good few posts, and there's interesting stuff to talk about, which pertains just to the day-to-day playing of the game, but then also one or two Warlords of Draenor things. So the first thing in today's news is the Gaze of the Black Prince. This is really cool. So between today and the 30th of June, you will get a 100% buff, that's not a word, a buff to your Rathian reputation, and it will also increase significantly the drop chance for Sigils of Power, Wisdom, Titan Runestones, and all that guff that we all pretty much hated. That's great. Look, the Rathian stuff is a pain in the arse. It's so just based on RNG that it isn't really fun to me. And collecting all those Sigils of Power, Wisdom, and stuff like that, for a lot of people, just involved grinding LFR. I think it was a terrible design, and this buff should be permanent. But it only is going to last for, 13 days, so I suppose we should just take what we are getting, and it's good. Though it's probably not good if you are still on the Valor Points part of the quest. If you're still on that, then there's a chance that you may not be able to avail of this too much, which really is very unfortunate. So, yeah, nice one, Blizzard. Do you know what? They just need a way of cutting that VP part of the quest out. Just nerf it. Make it 1000 Valor and be done with it. Because there's no engaging or fun gameplay there at all. It's just this roadblock which isn't fun. Oh, Blizzard. So, Gaze of the Black Prince, I'm glad you are here. I wish you were permanent. And to those of you out there who are able to use this, I wish you the best of luck. Because, damn it, you'll probably need it. Okay, so next we have the topic of active mana regeneration. Woo, this is the big thing that people have been talking about and stuff like that with healers. It was removed from the Warlords of Draenor alpha patch notes, and we have finally been given a reason about why. Now, one little bit of feedback for Blizzard. This blue post should have been in the patch notes to explain immediately then and there, so that there wasn't a weekend of worry and stuff like that going on. Anyway, here's what they said. So, despite the name Active Mana Regeneration, it wasn't really as strong as, say, Active Mitigation for tanks. Now, this meant that it wasn't particularly useful all the time, and then to make it really impactful to the gameplay, they would have needed to buff it significantly. Then also they said that currently it was only really useful for someone who had seriously mismanaged their mana and needed a way to get back up to something usable fast. So they decided that because it's only really useful in this fringe case and sort of also supports bad gameplay and just isn't really that useful, they were going to cut it. Now they did consider making it stronger, but they said that it would only fit if the passive mana regen and things like that for healers was far lower. They said that there is a design out there wherein all mana is obtained via some sort of active system, but it's not the one they want to go with. It's not the one the World of Warcraft healers are used to. They don't think that changing gameplay would really do any good for anyone, so they're happy to just stay the way they are. I think it's probably right, just trying to keep the same kind of gameplay. One of the interesting things I actually found out is that Blizzard have not recently, maybe like a year or two ago, so not recent at all, but they ended up at one point anyway, saying that one of the major reasons why a lot of people leave the game, like when they do that little form thingy when you unsubscribe, is changes to their class. It's one of the things that really drives people away, and I suppose that's understandable enough. So there's that. Now, Blizzard said that they still want to give healers a lot of control via their spell selection. Some spells are going to be very high efficiency, whereas some others will be very high throughput. If you only use maximum efficiency spells, then you will actually be spending less mana than you regenerate in, say, blue dungeon gear. And then if you use high throughput spells, you'll be able to burn through your mana. So that's kind of interesting. Then of course, as you get more spirit, your mana regen improves, meaning that you'll be able to regenerate more and more mana when you use efficient heals. It sounds like they're never going to have it be the case where high throughput spells will be, using less mana than like you regen or anything like that. I think they're always going to be very expensive, but of course they're by doing a better spell selection in terms of high efficiency ones, they're giving you a method to sort of regen your own mana. Anyway, so then finally they said that if you have 30% mana and a boss has 50% health, you will still be able to lean on high efficiency spells for a little bit of time to get your mana back to see you through the rest of the fight. Now that is, of course, assuming that your high efficiency heals are enough to keep everyone alive. So another thing that they also said is that you will pretty much never go out of mana in Warlords of Draenor because, well, you'll be able to just do some high efficiency spells and you'll be generating more mana than you're spending. Okay, so what do I think of all this? Well, active mana regeneration was really interesting. I still wish they could find some sort of way of putting it in, but I can see why in this case they've decided to remove it. And if they made it too powerful, then what could actually happen is you just be in a Siege of Orgrimmar style situation where people can just blow through their mana. Well, let's just say in Warlords, people will just be able to blow through their mana, use active mana regen pretty decently, and it would just make it so that high-end healers who were really playing the game well would be just so far and away better than any other healer that it would really mess up the balance of fights and how they deal with incoming damage and all those various healer-associated problems that have actually plagued raiding in Mists of Pandaria to quite a degree, especially in terms of how damage is dealt out to the raid. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that they haven't been able to find a way of making this work. I still think it's sort of interesting. I suppose that by making this extremely clear distinction between high efficiency and high throughput, they are giving you a little bit of active mana regeneration in that you have to actively make a choice to use a high efficiency over a high input, or high throughput, even. So that's the situation there. Look, I don't play a healer, maybe I'll roll one up. I really like the idea of active mana regeneration. Maybe it'll just, I don't know, it just like wasn't really going to fit in the game. That's certainly what it sounds like. But the system itself, I think, would have merit, and maybe if I were designing another MMO right now, I might try to have a more active mana regen-based system, and just do a few things differently. But I think, based on what Blizzard are saying here, for World of Warcraft, this is the best way to do it. Now, I do have one concern. So if it gets to the stage with our mana regen and things like that, where the cost of doing a high-throughput spell isn't too bad in comparison to your regen, or perhaps if you just maybe switch over to your high efficiency spells, and then you're just generating so much mana that you basically can dish out a disproportionate amount of high throughput heals, therefore just throw all the way healing should be out of whack, and get us back to a Siege of Orgrimmar style place where healers can heal people up highly, like up to full health very quickly. That's a bit of a worry, though from what I've heard, mana regen, just the way it scales with gear, isn't really going to be linear. There's going to be some diminishing returns to the point where it shouldn't go out of hand by the end of the expansion, which is good. Okay, so next let's move on to another topic, and this time it is ability pruning. So they just posted a little bit about the ability prune. Not a great deal, but maybe it'll allay some concern, so I'm just going to relay it to you guys. So, they said that, I think it was Laura that posted this, that some people are worried that abilities like Hibernate and Scare Beast are being removed. So, what they said is that these abilities are rarely used apart from some niche cases in PvP, yet, since you might still need them at some point, you kinda need to have them bound to your keys. And spells like that are the primary thing that they want to get rid of. I'll admit, it is a bit annoying having, say, 30 buttons or 35 buttons on my warrior for PvP, and not really needing to use all of them all the time. You know, just like having some random little niche ability that only works in maybe, or is only useful in, say, 2 out of every 10 arena matches that I do. They want to get rid of abilities like that, because if you can just have from maybe, I don't know, 12 to 16 abilities for PvP, and then maybe a little bit less for PvE, then I suppose it would just be a lot more playable, yet the actual majority of buttons that you're still pressing from second to second are largely the same. It's just they're cutting out some of the crap. I think this is okay, actually, and having too many of these niche but still extremely useful in some case abilities was just really a cluttery thing, you know, it cluttered up our game, and I don't think that's particularly good. So that's nice. Now, one thing he also said is that they don't want to target fun abilities. He gave the example of Eagle Eye, that's Farsight for the Shamans, and he said that it's something that's really fun, but it's still going to remain in the game. It's not going to be pruned. because it's not the sort of thing that you just bind to your keys. You open up your spellbook, and sure, it might clutter the spellbook a little bit, but it's a bit of fun gameplay or functionality, whatever, so they're going to keep it. I think overall, that was a pretty solid post. I agree with what they're saying, and that's all pretty cool. Okay, next we have got the final topic for the show, but it's a nice one if you're into PvP and Firewatcher's Oath and all these various things. So, they are happy with how the Censer of Eternal Agony and the Bloody Coin worked. Initially, or at least for most of 5.4. Basically, it created world PvP in a way that didn't really rely on faction balance, because it essentially made a separate third faction. You know, the people who were doing the Bloody Coin farming stuff. But now things are different. The Isle is populated with alts, and they don't think it's really that good for gameplay having this sort of powerful Censer of Eternal Agony that means that people can just go around and just wreck through alts and stuff like that. So, what are they doing? Well, they are increasing the cooldown on the Censer of Eternal Agony to 1 hour in order to make it less efficient. So if you die, you might have to wait 50 minutes or 30 minutes to be able to use it again. But of course, this is being countered by something, and it's being countered by the Firewatcher's Oath item. If you purchase this from the Ordos guy for 100 coins, it will allow you to gain bloody coins from PvP kills, including Battlegrounds. So basically, any PvP kill anywhere in the world, and of course if it's, you know, in your level range, will give you bloody coins. Now its cooldown is 10 minutes, and its duration is 10 minutes. Essentially, you can always have like 100% uptime in these, and they recently did a hotfix on this to give a 100% chance of getting a coin upon a killing blow. So there you go, you'll get all the bloody coins you need, and you will be grand. That's basically it for today's news. Lots of interesting little things. It's interesting to just talk about active mana regeneration. I get why they've done it, and it just seems like perhaps the healing design of World of Warcraft just means that it's not particularly something that I'll personally enjoy, therefore maybe it's just not for me, and that's fine. Not every sort of gameplay has to be hand-tailored to me. That'd be pretty selfish. Then on the ability pruning, I pretty much agree, and the Gaze of the Black Prince is lovely, and the Censer of Eternal Agony stuff is also good, because it means you'll be able to get your, you know, bloody coin mount, or you'll be able to get your bloody mount quickly. And, yeah, away with you. It'll be good. So, that's it for the show. Let me know what you think about any of the various topics we've talked about today. And, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.